Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga Texas construction update video.
Well, we're back out here at Giga Texas. It's Wednesday, the 25th of October. Kind of overcast, but actually not too bad to fly here today. Now, a couple of things that I do want to talk about in the intro. First of all, as you know, it's T-minus 36 days until the big Cybertruck delivery event. And I know a lot of people are getting excited about that, and I'm looking forward to it as well. And because of that, we're going to see several different Cybertrucks all throughout Giga Texas today. Before I get into that, first, I just want to show you the south end where the work on the footings continues to expand and grow rapidly. And this is part of that extension of the south end of the building. And we've been covering this most of this year, but now we get a chance to see how the footings are starting to develop, and we're getting a pretty good idea of what the footprint of the new building is going to be based on all of the footings. And we also see another area that is getting expanded on the south end, probably ready for more footings to be installed. So outstanding. Now, before I show you some of the Cybertrucks here at Giga Texas, I want to show you this short clip that was recently made during some Cybertruck off-road testing.
That's every day. Is it even on?
Well, I hope that you enjoyed that off-road testing. It kind of gives you a pretty good idea of the capabilities that Cybertruck will have, and it's great to see that they're doing all this level of testing before the delivery event. Now here at Giga Texas, a few things I do want to show you. On the outbound lot, there are 3 Cybertrucks. I think these are the same ones that we saw a couple of days ago, so no real big changes here. Over at the superchargers, we did see one more that was charging, and so that adds to 4 that is on the east side right now today. Now over on the west side near the main entrance, we get to see another Cybertruck, and this one looks like it's been off-roading and mudding because it is so dirty. But it's also great to see it so close to the main entrance as well. And then there's one more that I want to show you on the very far east side, and this is over at the recycling lot where they recycle the bodies after testing or if they fail inspection or so forth. But as you can see by this image, there's a Cybertruck that has gone through a lot of destructive testing, and these images here give you a really good idea of what the body in white or the basic skeleton of the Cybertruck looks like. And we'll get a chance to see all of these and more close up in the main video. So as always, thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it. And just remember, 36 days until the Cybertruck delivery event here at Giga Texas. So let's get into the drone, let's fly around, and let's see what the site looks like today. Take care.
If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. If you are interested in Tesla products, you can help yourself and support me by using my referral code. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga Texas. This morning we're starting off on the west side of general assembly part of the main factory, and one of the things I want to show you right off the bat is there is a Cybertruck on this side of the factory today. Looks like it's parked in one of the employee parking lots. Also, as you can tell by this closer in views, this Cybertruck has seen some off-roading. It looks like quite a bit of mud. Some of it has fallen off onto the ground, and it looks like it's definitely being used for testing, which is really neat to see. And this is more testing in addition to that off-road testing that we talked about at the video intro. But here's some really good views of a highly muddy and well-worn Cybertruck. And I imagine there's going to be a lot of people using their Cybertrucks off-road in a manner very similar to this as well. So it's not just brand new, pristine Cybertrucks that you see here at Giga Texas, but you can also see ones that are definitely being used and enjoyed in the way that they are meant to be. And hopefully soon, in about 36 days, we'll start getting people who own their own Cybertrucks and get to try that out as well. Since we're next to the main entrance, this is a good view of how it looks today. Not a whole lot of changes, to be honest. There's some work being done on the inside to finish that area up, but overall, this is pretty much done for now. The temporary end-of-line facility looks like it is busy as well. You can see Model Ys coming out of the factory using those ramps. The other Model Ys that are dirty are used by the employees to shuttle the drivers back from the east side. On the horizontal drilling outlet, showed you on my previous video that they had pulled the pipe about halfway through, and it looks like the drill has been removed. The pipe still hasn't come all the way through. It's still about halfway through, and I don't know if it's because they had a problem and they're going to have to pull it back out and do the bore and then try to pull it back again, or if that's part of the design. But let's fly up over the highway and let's take a look at this side to see what it looks like here today. You can see that large pipe on the bottom right kind of going down into the ground, and this is what goes through the bore. And like I mentioned, it's about halfway underneath the road. It doesn't look like there's much work here as far as the machinery to pull the pipe, but as I pan the drone up and we look farther to the west, we're going to see that the horizontal drill has been moved to the back end of the pipe. We also see the small pipes on the left next to the larger one kind of grouped together, and it looks like those are being prepared eventually to be pulled through that pipe. And it'll be interesting to see what they do and what the purpose of these pipes really are. This is a good view of the north end of the end-of-line facility and what all of the panels look like. About half of it is now closed in on this side. More of the trenching for electrical conduit on the west side. As you can tell, again on the bottom of the screen, more of that HDPE pipe. You can see where that large one ends, and you can tell that the drill is being positioned here. Also with that small section next to the excavator, that'll be attached to the end of the pipe, and I think they're going to pull it all the way back out and have to rebore that bore. So more work ahead for the horizontal drilling. Here's a good view looking back towards the southeast across the new outbound lot. You can also see the road, some of the curbs and the medians and how that is taking shape. It looks like maybe within a week we might start seeing the paving of this road as well. This gives you a good view of some of the materials that are still waiting to be installed, some of the steel into the south end of the end-of-line facility as well. And then here is a good view of that trench work that is going on here on the west side of the facility. Now, I've had some viewers ask, what is the purpose of the end-of-line facility? And as we talked before, this is where they'll do final testing and calibration of the vehicles before they're ready to be picked up by the trucks for the transport off-site, and that'll be taking place right underneath the drone. Also, sometimes new vehicles have minor issues, and they'll be using this facility to do those corrections before the vehicle is ready for transport. As we turn around the south end of the end-of-line building, you can get a good sense of where it is right now. A lot of the work on the roof, some of the insulation and the roof decking being installed and preparing for that south end wall. The west side, or correction, the east side here has got pretty much all of the wall panels. The conduit on the right-hand side has been mostly completed up to approximately this point. You can see where the excavator is and some of the pipe in the exposed part of the trench. And then as I pull back, you can tell that there's a small section of fencing that's most likely going to be a material staging yard. And then you can see the outbound lot on the left, and then this road at the middle bottom of the screen. This, when it is completed, will be what the new cars use to route from the building underneath the south bridge and then over onto this road, driving north and then arriving at the end of line facility. And as I continue to pull back, you'll be able to see that south bridge. You'll see where that road takes that 90-degree turn, goes into the bridge, and then it will connect back into this main road. So let's get ready to cross back over the highway again, and we resume the flight on this side of the highway. And I'm going to follow River Road. I'll get the drone down lower. You can get a good sense of this median with the new lighting that has been installed, and it's pretty much the entire length now. And as I pan the drone back, I'll give a good view of the entire south end construction site and how it looks today. The CFA pile drilling cranes have been idle for several days, being stored here. You can see on the wall where they're continuing to put that texturized material on the yellow panels. On the south wall with all of the platforms, you can see how that has been painted white. And here we can see more of the graded area being prepared for most likely additional footing construction. And you can see a lot of that on the right-hand side of the screen. We'll get some closer views shortly. I wanted to show you how the Stamping 2 extension looks. Pretty much the 60% of the structure on the left has had the white paint put onto the textured membrane, and then the textured material on top of the yellow panels continues on the east side. As we are at a lower altitude, I'll give you a good view here of the work that is underway for the footing construction. We can see some excavation work around what will be the perimeter grade beam, and you can clearly see the outline of the new facility matching the current one. And then you can see how some of the piles have had the top sections of concrete broken up so that you can get to the rebar, and then the rebar cages, which are being manufactured here, will be integrated into that rebar. And then once the concrete is poured, it will make a contiguous unit that will be solid from the footings and the piers, and this will give a lot of strength for the columns that will support the new building. As we approach the southeast corner, you can tell that the crews are continuing the white stain to finish up where the windows used to be. And then here's a good view with a sense of scale of some of the workers and the size of the rebar cages. More of the materials and tanks still being stored here underneath the power lines, waiting for movement inside. I'm going to bring the drone up to a higher altitude, give you a bird's eye view looking down at how the footing construction is continuing. And based on the permits, this is extending the building out from grid line 84 now to 85 all the way to 93. And the spacing of all of the columns based on the footings, it looks like it's the same as what we saw within the structure. And ultimately, this will extend the building approximately 400 feet or about 120 additional meters. I'll take advantage of the cloudy day to be able to look back towards the east across the multi-level parking garage. This gives you a good sense of the work that is continuing with the poured footings on the west side, working their way to the geopiers that are continuing to put the piers in the center, and then the stormwater pipes on the far east side being installed into a manifold system on that end. Now, I just recently saw a permit that was filed by the Tesla with the city of Austin, and it said that the structure that is being built here ultimately will have about 1.74 million square feet. Now, if that is for every single floor based on an approximate size of this structure, we may see a multi-level parking garage with at least 6, maybe more floors. And I had a viewer of mine calculate that out, and there's about 400 or 500 cars per floor. So that could be a significant number of vehicles being parked in this multi-level parking garage once it's completed. Now on this east side, looking down, we can get a good sense of the steel corrugated pipe for the stormwater management system, how it's being installed, and some of the materials being stored here until they're ready for installation. On the bottom right-hand side of the screen, we can see that manifold system that is being developed. And again, I think this is going to run underneath a road, and the road will go from the left to the right of the screen, kind of the south to the north on this end of the structure. And it's a good overall view of how this whole site looks today. More of the work on the north end, and you can see another similar manifold system underneath the road where the vehicles are crossing and where they're putting the formwork and the concrete for the outlets of those various pipes. We noticed that the outbound lot had a lot of vehicles, and we'll go ahead and take a look at that closer shortly. But the testing and calibration lot looks like it's getting a lot more Model Ys here today. Now, this lot will be replaced with the outbound lot that we saw on the west side of the highway where that new end-of-line facility is being constructed. So all of this will be returned back to various parking options for employees. Now, I did notice another Cybertruck here, supercharging. So I'll bring the drone in closer, give you a zoom in and get a chance to see what this one looks like. And it looks like they have some materials in the back of the bed. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but this gives you a good comparison with the Model Ys next to it about the size. And many people always wonder about the ability to pull the car or the truck in close enough and be able to do supercharging, and this is a good view of how that looks here in the supercharger lot here at the east side of Giga Texas. Take a look at some details on the east side. You can see the white stain continue to progress to the north. This apron section and that raised platform with the formwork. Some other black items that have just been recently delivered. More work here on this apron section where the new receiving doors were added and the low levelers. Again, the white staining and continued plastic on the windows to extend that further to the north. And then this section here is very important because this is where the electrical conduit comes from the new electrical switchyard and megapack system, and you can tell all the wires that are being installed. This is what is finally needed to be able to bring that new electrical switchyard online and have both transformers powering Giga Texas. You'll note that there are no Cybertruck castings that I could tell on the east side today. All of the ones that we previously saw have been moved away and or used. Of course, here a good look at all of the materials and the work that continues to go on inside the casting machine structure here with finalizing that new furnace, which will be used to recycle the scrapped aluminum and be able to continue making more of the castings. Now, as I pan the drone over towards the outbound lot, there's a lot of activity with the Model Ys, as you can see, plus trucks picking them up. We also see here 3 of the Cybertrucks. I think they've been here for a couple of days. Here's a good close-in view of how they look. And I'll turn the drone around, give you kind of a good bird's eye view of how they look here today. And just generally how, and unlike the ones we saw over on the west side, these are much cleaner. These look like they are brand new vehicles waiting for either delivery to off-site, maybe for training at some of the sales and service centers, or maybe other purposes. But these look like they are much cleaner for sure. And overall, the build quality of these, at least from the distance that I am at, looks extremely good. So I'm going to finish up the view here of the Cybertrucks, and we'll prepare to start flying over towards the battery cathode plant and take a look at some of the activity on that side of the site as well. The employee overflow lot is almost full today, so this gives you a good sense of the work that is going on inside by Tesla employees, particularly for production, and why we're seeing so many Model Ys showing up today. Now at the die shop, looks like more work on the windows, and here's a good view in to get a good close-eye view of what's going on. We can also see that work continues on this south end for more of the trenching. You can see that blue trench box in the trench. That's where they're putting more of that steel corrugated pipe for the water management system. We also see more of that being installed in the middle of the alleyway, and those white pipes that are sticking up out of the ground is marking where those steel pipes have been installed. Now on the south end of the battery cathode plant, I'll give you some good views in here at the open receiving doors, and also this open section where we know that the pneumatic blenders have been installed. They're on the left-hand side of the screen, so as I maneuver the drone, you'll be able to see them. And more of the platforms, the top work, and also some of the manifold systems on the top have been installed. It looks like work continues to get these continued to be installed and completed. And again, more materials on the ground waiting for their turn to be moved inside. As we go through the alleyway, we can see more concrete work has been done on the left-hand side of the screen, and it looks like they are finishing up this new concrete section, the large one just underneath the drone. And then as I pan to look at the chiller plant, the nitrogen tanks, and the vaporizer systems, this gives you a good sense of how these look today. And it does look to me like they've got some sort of fencing around those 4 larger tanks that they've recently moved. So I'm going to fly over the die shop, but come down and give you a good view of the work that is going on the west side, particularly with the underground stormwater pipe. You can see one segment on the left next to this excavation work that goes to the left. And then this also gives you a good view of the west side, what I think is a furnace under this cover, the chiller plant. And also in the left center of the screen, we can see the mobile, or the, I don't know, workshop that used to be here. It had covered over some of the containers. They were using that to do modifications of those steel pipes, and that has been removed. You also see how many more of the steel corrugated pipes remain to be installed. A lot of the water on the ground, you can tell that it's definitely very moist because we've had some significant rains come through this week. The lift station continues to have work in those concrete vaults with some of the pipes. And then I'm going to give you a good view here on the northeast side of the cathode plant, all the excavation work that is going on, how this looks to the north, those kind of islands with the trees. They've had power poles there until recently. I think that they needed to leave that way until they could have those power poles removed. And it looks like maybe some of them are still there, so those will be there for quite some time. On the bottom of the screen, that large pipe again, that used to be the smokestack on the old bag plant, which is where the new electrical switchyard has been constructed. And that predated Giga Texas. A lot of the materials of the steel tanks still waiting for installation. This is a good view of the east side. See the cell test lab on the bottom right, and all of the earthwork to make what definitely looks like a water detention pond. You can see some of the water in that rectangular section on the bottom, and you can see how the berm has been raised up on the left-hand side as well, making that shape. So while we're here, I'm going to fly over farther to the east side. This is where the recycling takes place, particularly for bodies in white or bodies of Model Ys. And today we're going to see a Cybertruck body. And I'm going to bring the drone down in lower. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to give you some good views. Most likely, this is the only place that you're going to see this detailed view of a Cybertruck body in white. And it looks like this one has had some severe structural testing taking place. You can tell that the side of the passenger cabin, that kind of darker gray, which is actually stamped material and it's welded together to make that passenger cabin. And you can also see the front and rear castings, which are bolted to that passenger cabin. And then you can see how some of the finished material, the beams that go across the roof, and of course the open floor for the structural battery pack. But this is a pretty good close-in detailed view of a Cybertruck body in white over at the recycling yard, getting ready for it to be scrapped, along with several of the Model Y bodies that you can see nearby as well. So I hope that you enjoyed those particular views and some of the information about Cybertruck that you won't be able to see for a while until possibly Monroe gets one and they do a teardown. Now, as we continue to fly back towards the west, I'm flying over this dual lane road with the trees. This is the last remaining original part of this site, and it predates Giga Texas. It's going to be integrated into Tesla Road, and then here is the four-way intersection with the stoplights. It has been under construction for several weeks and continues to have construction being done. As we fly over the Tesla temporary offices and security, I'll give you a good view of the temporary electrical switch yard on the left, which is apparently de-energized now, and then of course the new electrical switch yard and these two transformers I mentioned earlier. The one on the top is powering Giga Texas. The one on the bottom now, as you can tell on the left-hand side of the screen, has got all of the wiring connected, and then here the breaker bars are still open for that one, so it's not quite connected. I think once the conduit and the wires on the east side of the casting machine structure that we talked about earlier are completed, then this transformer can be operational. Now on the north end, you can see the scaffolding, the covered white plastic area, also those large black wires coming up from the ground on the bottom. This is the part that will eventually connect the Megapack site to the electrical grid. And the reason why they have the covered section is to make sure that the connections stay contamination free, dirt free, and also moisture is reduced to as much as possible. And you'll see a similar covered area on the north end of the Megapacks as well. That's where those wires go under the ground and then re-emerge to be connected on the north side of the Megapack. Now, because the clouds, I'll be able to give you a slightly different view. We're going to be looking back towards the east. And this is a good view of the north side of the Megapack. You can see the perimeter fence. The gravel mix has been spread around the entire area. The cable trays on the ground are all completed. All the wiring looks like it's completed. It looks like there's just some additional work being done on the east side near the perimeter fence. The Megapacks themselves, it looks like most of the gravel has been spread. All of the wires have been connected. The perimeter fence and the lighting is also finished as well. So it's very close to being able to be commissioned. So anyway, there's a good view of most of Giga Texas. You'll even see some Model Ys heading off site by the transport truck on the bottom right. And that's becoming a fairly routine, common sight here. Now that production is starting to ramp back up after all of the upgrades that they have done on General Assembly lines 1, 2, and 3, and all of the other interior changes as well. As always, thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it, and I hope you have a great rest of the week. Take care.